I love many ships, and I love to talk about them. This includes modern cruise ships, which might be a slight surprise. But what modern cruise ships do I dislike? Well, in today's video, let's go over my top 6 ugliest modern cruise ships / cruise ship classes. Please keep in mind, these are just my opinions, and I completely get if you like any ships listed here. And personally, most ocean liners will beat any modern cruise ship, but not all. Also, classes of ships will be represented by one individual if they are identical. But all ships will be mentioned just to simplify everything, except if a ship is yet to be named, and there are a few of those on this list. Before I get farther, I just want to say Costa Algeria and Costa Marina, sister ships, will not be present unlike so many ugly lists because I actually quite like them. Please share your thoughts on them, however, I'd love to hear them, and they will make an appearance in a future video. Now, let's get on to number 6. Number 6, Norwegian Epic. Personally, I don't actually mind the Norwegian Epic, except for 2 major and 2 minor reasons, which actually drag her down so many ranking spots. The first minor one is the lifeboats sticking out over the side of the ship. It just looks like they forgot to add them on and tacked them on after construction was completed. The second one is that only slightly bothers me just a little bit is her dual funnels, while not a single big one. I get there's probably a very good reason for it. For example, Oasis and Icon classes of the Royal Caribbean have 2, but they also have the superstructure split down the middle lengthwise, so Epic doesn't, and it doesn't really feel right. I'm sure I'm not the only one who sees that. Now, the 2 elephants in the room, or ship in this case. The first one is the stern, or lack thereof. It looks like they ran out of money and just slapped steel and windows on to finish it. It looks terrible. Most have at least have it sloping upwards, or have a purposeful space like an aqua theater on the Oasis class, but not Epic. Another thing the ships like to do is have a slight sweep before it starts going up, which is okay, not this dead drop like this ship has. Now, the second major flaw, and my least favorite part of the ship, because it can be seen from all angles, is the superstructure section above the bridge. It makes the ship look top heavy. It's out of place, and quite frankly, I'd rather it be gone. I get that there's a reason for everything, but they could have designed it better if they absolutely had to have it. An example would be to have followed the same or similar slope of the superstructure below the bridge. For example, one of my favorite modern cruise ships, the Norwegian Breakaway. Instead, Epic has it sloping towards the bow, which makes it even worse, and don't get me started on the side view of the ship. Don't even get me started on the side view of it. It looks ugly. At least make it one color and blend everything in together. Things should not stand out. Are standing out. Let's move on to number 5, before I continually rant for the next few hours, as more of the script would show. Coming in at number 5 is another Norwegian ship, MV Pride of America. There's 2 major flaws, and one simple overall flaw. The overall flaw is the ship looks old and outdated despite being ordered in 1998 and entering service in 2005. Some late 80s and early 90s ships look far better, for example Royal Caribbean's Sovereign class. Her first major flaw is her stern. I'm okay with the top 2/3, not the bottom third. It looks like a block, and the windows look like they have bars over them, like a prison. It looks very odd, like they had a design change partway through construction, and they didn't want to fix what was already built. The entire bottom third of the ship looks really blocky compared to the rest of the ship. But hey, at least the lifeboats are tucked into the ship's side, unlike the Norwegian Epic. That becomes a running theme in this video, me pointing out the Norwegian Epic. She looks old, very old, and that's really the sole reason why she is in number 5 instead of the Epic. Older cruise ships simply just look better than her, and more modern, even if they're significantly older than her. Overall, she's just not a really pretty ship, and just does not vibe with me. So, let's move on to number 4. Coming at number 4 is the AIDA Nova also known as the Excellence class. She is the first of 11 ships currently non-reactive. Nova, as I'm just going to call her for the simplicity of this video, and her 10 sisters are fine except for two things that admittedly aren't major, but they still rub me the wrong way. And one major pet peeve. First, the bow was a little short for my liking, but it could definitely be worse, as seen later. Secondly, they all seem a bit tall for their width, causing them to look very top-heavy. But the very major issue I have with them is lifeboats. Just like the Norwegian Epic, they are over the side of the boat. At least they put the walkways above them, which helps them not stand out, but still. I get it leaves more room for people, and more people means more money, but I've never been okay with it, because if a lifeboat falls, it's going into the sea like happened with the research ship Sir David Attenborough, and it could potentially damage the ship, or even worse, tenders if they're loading below, or piers with people on them. It's a recipe for disaster, even though it's not too likely, the risk is always there. Safety-related issues really bother me, and with me being so safety-orientated, this drops this entire class down to the 4th spot, as it really is ugly to me, especially with that safety factor in mind. Now let's get on to number 3 before I rant about this for a few more hours, just like the Norwegian Epic. Coming at number 4 is I've called it the Lady class. Technically, I couldn't find a class name, so we're just going to call them the Lady class, because they're the Scarlet Lady, Valiant Lady, Resilient Lady, and the Brilliant Lady, who should be having her maiden voyage in September of 25. And oh boy, here we go. Where to start? Well, that's one thing I appreciate. Lifeboats inside the ship's beam. Good job, Virgin. Now onto the many issues I have with these 4. First, the bow raises straight up. Even Costa has done better with conversion ships. And there isn't a visible area at the bow. Yes, it provides more public space, but I don't like the look of it at all, and frankly, it just seems like the superstructure has started far too early because of this. The middle is fine. It's the middle. The stern, however, it isn't. First, it is a narrower superstructure and a wide rear deck, which slightly overhangs the stern. Secondly, the stern angles upwards, and then there's an abrupt end to that and a deck straight above that, into the exposed overhanging on the rear deck. It looks busy, it looks confusing, and like an error that they tried to fix on the cheap. Again, these issues aren't the end of the world, but I really don't like the look of these ships. Now let's move on to number 2, and where I really want to start gouging my eyes out. Coming at number 2 is MSC Europa of the World class. She's the first of 4 and currently the only one in service as of October of 2024. My very first thoughts on this ship were to please take my eyes out. So what's wrong with Europa and her future sisters? Well, her bow raises straight up, like the Scarlet Lady. It looks just plain wrong, and the bow section is also covered just like the Scarlet Lady. And I will probably never like this look. The entire top of the ship is wavy, which would be fine except there's only a few pieces stuck outside of the hull, so it looks like a rectangle with a wave on top. It looks like they legitimately put 2 designs together, like, when they got up to where the waves start, they realized, oh wait, this ship looks really boring. Let's throw some waves in there to make it more appealing, I don't know. And they didn't really seem to care about the end results. I appreciate that the pieces outside the hull, including the bridge wings, and the one massive indent with the passenger cabins, but they don't save World Europa for me. At least the lifeboats are inside the hull. Her stern is okay, however, I don't like the split down the middle. It makes sense on other ships, for example, the Oasis and Icon classes of the Royal Caribbean. However, this is because from every single angle you can tell that it looks split, and it's actually split along the top as well, from a top view. So in those 2 classes, it makes a lot of sense. However, this is not the case for World Europa. It is actually split on the roof a little bit at the back, but not much. So from every other angle, this ship doesn't look split. It looks like it's one superstructure. Except, of course, if you're looking at it from the rear. The two pieces of the superstructure on either side of the gap look boring with a handful of windows. But the stern section below looks decent, actually. There are a few saving features like this, and the lifeboats, but they can't pull the world class out of second place. But which ship and class comes in at number 1? Coming at number 1 is the Norwegian Prima, the Prima class, versus 2 currently in service. First, some of my favorite modern cruise ships are from Norwegian. I know it seems like I'm going after Norwegian because half this list is them. However, for example, I really love Norwegian Breakaway and that class in general. They just happen to have some really ugly ships. Now, Prima and her sisters are, in my opinion, the ugliest modern cruise ships for a multitude of reasons. Let's start at the bow, which angles backwards. Which just looks odd and completely wrong to me. Looks like they legitimately put it in upside down, and it also looks incredibly short, which I know is normal for modern cruise ships, but it looks even short for a modern cruise ship. The superstructure above the bridge is also curved, and the radar and other equipment on it sticks out like a sore thumb, with how blocky that section of the superstructure is, despite the attempt to conceal that with the 2 curved beams, which outline it, and actually, at least in my opinion, make it stick out even more. There's a small piece of superstructure between the 2 lifeboats which doesn't fit and looks incredibly out of place. Like, I seriously don't know why they put it on there. And continues into the walk path above, forcing it to actually go around it. Again, it's a piece that really, from the outside, doesn't make any sense. I'm sure on the inside it makes sense. On the outside, it makes no sense. The front 2/3 of the superstructure consists of 3 circles at the top, which look really odd and out of place and completely out of hand. Like, I don't know any other class that has that. The funnel and superstructure around it makes it look very top-heavy, specifically in that area. And it just looks like an afterthought after it was already built that, oh, we forgot to put this stuff on. Well, let's just throw it around the funnel. Is really what it looks like. However, all these are not worse than the World Europa. So what drags the Norwegian Prima and the Prima class into first place? It's the last rear third of the ship. It dooms it. This third narrows inwards, only to end in a slight increase in width and then a massive circle. It's most notable towards the bottom, as you can see how wide it is in the picture, and narrows towards the top, of course, like the superstructures typically do. But I don't understand the reasons behind all of the circles. I don't like it. After all, circular warships failed. What makes people think cruise ships with circles on them will be liked? I don't know. I don't get it, and I don't personally like it. All of these reasons, and more, are why Norwegian Prima and her 5 sisters are, in my opinion, the ugliest modern cruise ships as of 2024, and I don't even think the livery change will help. The livery sucks, and I don't think any can change that. Before I let you guys go here, I just want to say thank you for watching this video. This is the very first time I've done an ugliest kind of video on my channel. I do plan on doing more of these in the future, however, please keep in mind that these are just for fun videos, and I understand actually why people like all these, because they do look modern. I just personally am not into the modern look. So once again, if you guys love these ships, I have no problem with you. I have no problem with you liking them. I'm fine with them. But these are personally, in my opinion, the ugliest. Now, if you want to see any more videos like this, let me know down below. Or just have any ideas in general, please leave them down below. I'll try to have more narrated videos out from now on. The busy season's, well, the growing season is over at work for the grass. But now we're about, well, now 25, 30 of us are doing the jobs of 70 plus people when they went back to college and everything. So, fun. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, everybody. And see you guys all in the next video.